Hey, welcome back, guys. Raising Kanan's fifth go-round stayed true to the Power versus long-running trend of explosive mid-season finales. This one may arguably contend with some of their best, given what we learned in the epilogue, a secret that threatens the delicate bond between Rock and her son for the remainder of the season, and series quite possibly. I'm here to break it all down in typical Top 10 WTF fashion. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. WTF moment number 10, Sibling Rivalry. Marvin and Lou get into a heated confrontation following Marv's blunder at the stash house and Lou's chiding of his older brother's recklessness. After exchanging a few fighting words and including their respective cold streaks with women, the two siblings duke it out old school style until intervened upon by the boys in blue. This conflict has been bubbling for a few episodes now, and this certainly won't be their last tussle before season's end. WTF moment number 9, Unmatched. Detective Howard pays another visit to his doctor to evaluate the potential matches for his extended family in his cancer diagnosis. Much to his chagrin and subtle delight, none of them fit the criteria to be a potential donor for him. His doctor then informs him that his name has been placed in a bone marrow registry and subsequently suggests lifestyle changes and tips to prolong his life in a case that a match is unsuccessful. Howard tried to tuck his despair, but given what we learned in the end, there just may be a sliver of hope. WTF moment number 8, Truth Hurts. Kanan and Juke discuss potential leaks to the stash house robbery. Juke apprehensively suggests Davina's involvement, which sends Kanan through the roof, jumping to far-fetched conclusions in an effort to further deny and protect his girlfriend. Kanan then shoots a thinly veiled threat towards his cousin, suggesting that he'll expose her secrets if she continues exploring the Davina angle. This is the first major conflict we've seen between them in their young lives, and hopefully they'll reconcile in the episodes to come, especially given Juke's current state. WTF moment number 7, Mountaintop Scuffle. Rock makes her move in securing project towers for her revamped operation. During her apartment hunting, one of the tenants angrily pushes back on the notion of losing his home. However, Rock signals Marvin to regulate on the unruly tenant, and he obliges to the fullest, beating down the now former tenant in dramatic fashion. WTF moment number 6, Scrappy Showdown. Kanan furiously confronts Scrap over the stash house fiasco. The loyal soldier emphatically rebuffs the naive upstart, whose own refusal to acknowledge his part in the leak fuels the altercation. After sharing a few disrespectful barbs, Kanan attacks Scrap, and the latter runs the fade head-on until arrested by Howard and his partner. During the arrest, Scrap noticed one of Meek's men nearby, foreshadowing his pending infiltration of the other side. WTF moment number 5, Precinct Politics. Howard takes Kanan in for questioning to no avail. After finally making some headway, Symphony arrives to recover Kanan and engages Howard in a stinging back and forth laced with racial charges and mutual insults. Their brief interaction was venomous and slightly revealing in its own way in retrospect, considering Howard's previous relationship to Symphony's new work. WTF moment number 4, Studio Savior. Crown and his engineer get into a dispute over compensation. Lulu covers the tab in exchange for his niece's chance at real studio time. Despite Crown's initial hesitancy, money talks and bullshit runs a marathon. Lou's maneuver won a war on several fronts, upstaging a vulture obviously trying to nab his chick, and gaining an opportunity for Jukebox, which will certainly reignite tensions between him and Marvin. WTF moment number 3, Busted. Juke celebrates her long-awaited studio win with Nicole. During their routine makeout session, her mom enters unexpectedly and catches them in the act. In typical response to such a shock, Nicole's mom freaks out and shows her true colors, hurling several obscenities at the young Juke. Juke flees with tears in her eyes and despair in her heart. WTF moment number 2, Inside Man. Scrap approaches Unique about switching sides following his recent discord with Rock and her son. The street soldier cites his earning potential and a lack of appreciation as reasons for joining up with Neek. Though aware of the potential liabilities, Neek welcomes Scrap into the fold. Now, there's no way Scrap is actually turning from where this commentator is sitting, and hopefully, the setup attempt doesn't cost Scrap his life in the latter 5. In WTF moment number 1, I'm the father. In the episode's finale, Howard confronts Rock about Kanan's age and the timeline of Defcon's arrest and visitation. He surmised that there's no way Defcon could be Kay's father, and after putting the pieces together, concluded that he's the real patriarch. Then, as vicious as a serpent on the prowl, Rock warns Howard to stay away from her son. This was a major bombshell, and honestly, leaves more questions than answers going forward. Some lingering thoughts before we end today's video. The title of this episode, Choose Your Battles, couldn't be more fitting. Marvin chose his with Lulu, Kanan went against his closest friend and cousin in Jukebox, Kay also foolishly opted to spar with Scrap, Symphony chose his battle with Detective Howard on the road cop's home floor, and Rock chose the infiltration route against Neek through her most loyal soldier not bound by blood, seemingly anyway. Kanan was definitely going for a gun prior to his bout with Scrap, and thank God he couldn't procure it before his mother interfered. Kay even waving a gun at Scrap would come with street consequences that all sides wouldn't be ready for. But that's what happens when a boy is playing at a man's game, in the words of Scrap himself. Kanan is finally warming up to Symphony, the scholastic part of him especially appreciative of the wealth of knowledge he has to offer. Though Kanan is naive to the game, he isn't stupid, and having someone around who challenges him to think past the surface will only make him more thorough. Marvin and Lou's altercation was loaded with narrative chunks. We first learned that Marvin previously served hard time for having diarrhea of the mouth. The Steppin' and Fetchin' insult was a nod to Steppin' Fetchit, the early 20th century movie star who was infamous for his subservient depiction of the Black experience. Perhaps the most visceral tidbit came in the form of Lou's declaration that Marvin's baby mama plays street guard for the New York Knicks. As wild as this discovery was, it would explain the disconnect between Marvin and Jukebox further. Having a young woman around that resembles the one you resent is a doom scenario from the start. And in Marvin's own way, his neglect of Juke is a subtle reaction to the trauma caused by her mother's actions. Jukebox alluded to family secrets that Kanan couldn't even fathom during their brief spat. We are now privy to one of those secrets being his father's true identity. But what about the others? What family secrets could Juke possibly be speaking of? Whatever they may be, it's partly the reason why she's so much more advanced than Kanan on a street level. She's simply seen more. Let me know what you make of these questions. And to think that I let you into my home. This was an interesting choice of words by Nicole's mom. It's like saying, you are naturally a beast, and we were civilized enough to treat you humanely. But once you act in a way that we disapprove of, you're back to beast status. Her threat of calling the police for assault against her daughter buttresses this point further. I previously said that Juke's relationship was on a collision course with race, class, and sex, and they certainly collided this week. Now that all the cards are on the table, I wonder if Howard gets that bone marrow transplant from his son. Literally speaking, Kanan is now his only hope at survival. But if Rock has anything to say about it, then Howard's as good as dead, naturally or otherwise. Rock showing Kanan how to cook crack was a direct parallel to Tasha showing Tariq how to cut that brick. Both matriarchs chose to direct their sons' inevitable criminal futures, something I'll be exploring deeper in future videos. It's important to keep in mind, while we're on the subject, that Kanan stressed his choice to be in the game willingly, not a lack of options placing him in the game forcibly. More on this in a future comparative analysis. And lastly, now that we've reached the mid-season point, there will only be 1 week missed before things pick back up on August 29th. But not to worry, I'll have plenty to hold you over in the meantime. And that'll do it for this one. What did you think of this week's bombshell episode? Be sure to drop me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.